and recollect the saintly life, the vision and the mission of Bishop Paulinus is a blessing. It can be very inspiring and meaningful for the missionaries, those who are in the field today in Jagdalpur and elsewhere. Bastar was very much an unknown and isolated part of this continent. Even today, for many, it remains so. It is to this obscure land that the Holy Father, Saint Pope Paul VI, appointed Msgr Paulinus Jeerakath CMI as the Apostolic Exarch on 23rd March 1972. For the pioneer missionaries, the context itself was a challenge before them. Msgr Paulinus significantly expressed it by taking the motto with boldness and courage. As Saint Paul, Saint Thomas, and other disciples of Jesus who all entered to the lands unknown to them with courage and boldness, Bishop Paulinus and pioneer missionaries of Jagdalpur also entered in Bastar, imbibing the same apostolic spirit of the first disciples of Jesus. Bishop Paulinus' vision for a church in the context of Bastar. Reverend Dr. Thomas Mambara, former Prior General of our congregation, notes, as the first bishop of the new Diocese of Jagdalpur, his dedication to the people of Bastar and to the cause of evangelization was total. This dedication was expressed in his vision for the Diocese of Jagdalpur. Bishop Paulinus' vision for the Diocese of Jagdalpur was thoroughly characterized by the life and culture of the tribal people who form the majority in the territory. Bishop Paulinus visualized a church in the Jagdalpur mission based on the life, culture, and mentality of the tribal people, a totally contextualized local church. Bishop Paulinus loved the people of Bastar, their culture, their traditions. He wanted to explore them in depth. He used to recommend the scholastics to contextualize their studies for the betterment of the mission in Jagdalpur. When I was doing my MTH studies, Bishop insisted me to do my research paper reflecting on tribal culture of Bastar. He himself suggested me to read certain books and visit certain places and even to attend certain functions like the big tribal fest, Mela at Narayanpur, Kondagaon, etc. In his personal collection of books, there were books very rarely available on tribal culture. For example, Maria Gons of Bastar by M.V. Grigson. He was keeping a cyclo-styled copy of the original of it. While I was doing my regency at Kottayam village in 1981, I was encouraged to attend the pujas performed by villagers on certain occasions like Hariyali, Diyari, Navakhani, etc. to understand the culture of the people and to get involved in the village life. Bishop Paulinus was very much expressing his vision, the ardent desire to facilitate the practice of Catholic faith in Bastarian context. In his very attitude of life, in his thinking and conversations, it was very often clearly expressed. I would say it is not yet an actualized vision. It is very much the need of today. It will be the persistent need for the future too. Therefore, in the missionary action, we need to keep an open space amidst set patterns. At the same, we need to be faithful to our traditions and practices. To preserve the integrity of faith and morals, expressing gospel in the tribal cultural context of Bastar poses manifold healthy challenges. Bishop Paulinus was well aware of it. He used to advise, I am not giving any permission to do this way or that way, but I am allowing freedom for innovations and experiments. Bishop Paulinus was expressing the feeling that a healthy disturbance for innovations and attitude to abide by the Spirit of God will lead us to meaningful observances. In the very beginning of the Exarchate, he appointed Father Abraham Jeerakath CMI in charge of liturgy and music and instructed him and Father M.S. Kandathil to learn and practice the prayers in the local languages. Each occasion, when tribal dances, certain cultural adaptations were experimented, he used to encourage and appreciate it. Bishop Paulinus, an effective evangelizer. Reverend Dr. Thomas Aikara, our former Prior General, stated regarding Bishop Paulinus that the doctor who treated Bishop Paulinus in the last days of acute leukemia commented, "I have found a bishop of my heart." Father Thomas Aikara comments that our daily life undeceivably unveils what we are, and people really get inspired by the lives we lead. This establishes the most effective form of evangelization. According to Father Thomas Aikara, Bishop Paulinus was a personality rich in Indian soul of the spirit and simplicity, silence and prayer, peace and powerlessness, interiority and inner realization. He did not attach much importance to the routine externals of dress and diverse declarations, but gave importance to the inner depth of life in its transparency. He was a silent but a proud son of the Syro Malabar Church. He was not much interested in verbal controversies, but deeply involved in the vibrant issues, especially in the context of mission. He visualized very much that the ancient patrimony and the precious heritage of the individual church must get incarnated in time and space. He was convinced that a balanced blending of the past and present must contribute towards realizing a dynamic church for Basta tomorrow. A missionary who walked the path of dialogue of life. Bishop Paulinus walked the path of dialogue of life as a missionary in the challenging situations of Jagdalpur mission. Reverend Father Alexander Maramatum, one of our senior missionary and former provincial writes, Bishop Paulinus remained a chosen instrument in the hands of God to nurture the diocese in its infancy. He did not consider himself the be-all and end-all of the diocese. Rather, his approach was dialogical and democratic. He was very simple and open man whom everyone could approach. There was nothing obscure or unpredictable about him. All who approached him, his religious laity, could speak of love and fair dealing from his heart. Bishop Paulinus never imposed a clear-cut master plan upon his subordinates. He rather encouraged the initiatives of his subordinates. He always esteemed the planning that evolves from grassroots level. Once I approached him with a small project to get recommended by him, his first question towards me was, "Are you sure that you will implement this project?" On those days, my transfer was on discussion. I told Bishop, if not I, the successor who comes to my place will do it. His answer was, "Let the successor come and he will forward the project as his own." They center in every tahsil, frequent itinerant contact with the people. As a mission strategy, Msgr Paulinus desired to have a mission center in every tahsil from where one could reach to the interior places. His methodology for developing mission was frequent itinerant contact with the people. Several occasions he said, mission is meant to make strangers our friends and tell them about Jesus and make them feel the love of Jesus. In order to reach the unreachable or to make the strangers our familiar people, Bishop Paulinus opted for the major tahsils to start with. With very minimum resources, but with regular village visits, missionaries aimed at familiarizing and interacting with the people of each area. Within short span of time, almost within 5 years, the missionaries could cover major places like Jagdalpur, Bijapur, Konda, Narayanpur, Kangar, Keskal, Idam and Kondagaon, etc. The mission centers of these places could become active in each region. Contacts and programs were extended to many villages surrounding all those centers. The primary concentration was on the basic needs of the people of the area, like primary education facilities for both rich and the poor, such as English medium school, boarding facilities for poor and unreachable students to stay and study in reputed Hindi medium schools. Adult education centers for elders who are never enrolled in schools. In the health sector, they initiated dispensaries, mobile health programs, and mother and child health program, MCH program. In the agricultural and livelihood sector, under large footfalls, grain banks for seed supply, land leveling, bunds and ponds preparation for irrigation and drinking water were commenced. Model farming, supplying bullocks, sheep, establishing self-help groups, SHG, such economic well-being programs were initiated. For the better transportation and communication, with the help of Core Works program, roads to the fields and the villages were prepared, reaching to the remote villages. The memorable event of Episcopal ordination of Bishop Paulinus, May 11, 1977, has added a new momentum to the mission in Jagdalpur. After the Episcopal ordination, the evangelization process of the diocese moved to the interior villages, to the unreached people of Bastar division. It was an attempt to penetrate into the heartland of the tribal belt. With the beloved pastor in front, missionaries went ahead slowly but steadily with an untiring spirit. Some of the interior localities like Gangalur, Kahidgaon, Jeerakath, Kottayam, Rupaguda, Pattanar and Dugoli have become centers of multi-developmental programs. The method of frequent itinerant contacts with the common people was found to be very successful, making challenges opportunities. In the initial stage, when missionaries started activities in different tahsils, negative news was spread all over Madhya Pradesh and neighboring states through the newspapers. Bishop Paulinus took this challenging and threatening rumors as a blessing in disguise. Eventually, rumors have spread out that a new band of missionaries have come to convert the poor tribals by distributing wheat and used crops. Bishop Paulinus himself commented, "It was a blessing in disguise that our presence here may be widely known all over central India." At the request of the people from Jeerakath and its surrounding villages, our present the Emeritus Bishop Simon Stock, Viraji, and MSMI sisters initiated a developmental activity with the boarding house and the Hindi medium school in Jeerakath in 1978. In 1986, with the indirect support of some officers, some anti-social elements demolished the entire school building, boarding house, presbytery, and convent of the sisters. About the challenging and painful event of the Jeerakath demolition, Bishop Paulinus wrote in his pastoral letter regarding our diocese, 1987 will be counted a very special year. The diocese has completed 15 years. 15 is a critical age. Boys and girls of that age experience a kind of disorientation in their life. They are no more children. Neither have they grown mature. So they are at loss to relate them to the world around. During these 15 years of our diocese was slowly taking root in Bastar. It has not grown big, nor has it grown very strong. The hostility this small church has experienced is a proof that we have grown enough to be taken note of. We are sure that God has been lovingly fostering the growth of His church here. The present trial, which He mercifully permitted, is a sign that He considered His church here strong enough to face the test. Thus He reiterated the motto written on His coat of arms, strongly without fear. Nirbhikta se, Samartya se. He asked the whole Christian community to be firm in our dedication in and through our humble service to the poor, collaboration and teamwork. Our beloved Professor Dr. John Brito Chettimattam reflected over the life of Bishop Paulinus that he lived a life supporting everyone and appreciating each one's work without counting personal cost. He was not a shepherd who used to guide his sheep through tail control. He used to visit frequently every mission station and watched and guided and directed its progress. Reverend Father Alexander Maramettum recalls, he used to visit each mission station at least 3 times a year, especially in the winter, the summer, and in the rainy season, so that he could experience for himself the hardships faced by the missionaries as well as by the people of the locality. As an honest and upright man who stood for the great values of truth, sincerity, unbounded love, and authenticity, people held him in deep respect and profound admiration. He was a shepherd who sought after his sheep, who shared in their joys and sorrows. He was one to whom they could talk as it was to a friend and a guide. No wonder that it made headlines when he told Msgr Aachen, Germany, mission is to make strangers our friends. Similarly, our Vicar General Dr. Joseph Parekkattil, former Provincial, and recollects the golden days of the team spirit and the collaboration of all of us missionaries. Msgr Paulinus developed a strategy of collaborative mission where he tried to sing along with all collaborators. He heard their ideas patiently and accepted them. The priest meetings and the missionary get-together were regular features in Jagdalpur, which provided the priests and religious sisters the chances to express their views and opinions freely to create an atmosphere of family spirit and oneness among the members. Many cherish even today the nostalgic experiences of past days. A compassionate shepherd, Bishop Paulinus. As a compassionate shepherd, Bishop Paulinus used to remind fellow missionaries, look how simple and happy our people are. Often, after the tiresome work of the day, they come home jubilant with smiling faces, holding on each other's shoulders, singing and dancing. Yes, this is our people, simple, sincere, straightforward and innocent. Are they not challenging us? Out of his compassion towards the people of Bastar, he facilitated Deenbandhu Samaj to get formed in the soil of Bastar. By founding the religious congregation DBS, Bishop commented, Bastar is the place of poor people, a backward area with a weak section of mankind. Hence, if we are not their friends, we have no friends. His advice for the members of the congregation was to closely follow Jesus, the embodiment of God's merciful love, and be a living example of God's selfless love. Bishop Paulinus recommended fellow missionaries to make strangers their friends and tell them about Jesus, make them experience the love of Jesus. This was very core of his attitude. As a seminarian aspirant, when we reached Jagdalpur in 1976, Bishop Paulinus advised us seminarians, go to school and mingle with friends. Invite your friends at times to visit our place. At our wonder, when our classmates visited us, there were occasions Bishop too joined us for a cup of tea and a friendly chat, at least by asking their name and whereabouts. Bishop Paulinus visualized a local church in Jagdalpur mission based on the life, culture and mentality of the tribal people. Though he is not physically present with us today, his fatherly love and care is continuously being experienced by missionaries very often in many situations. May his divine assistance help us to grow ahead in fulfilling the mission entrusted to all of us by the risen Lord. I am glad to say that the dreams and vision of Bishop Paulinus is getting realized slowly but steadily. The young and spirit-filled priests, religious, lay missionaries, catechists, pastors and leaders, and other collaborators of goodwill are making our mission so vibrant and growing. There are more than 5,000 Syro-Malabar Catholics and nearly 7,000 Latin origin Catholics being cared by pastoral ministry in Jagdalpur mission. The flourishing young Catholic communities are the blessing of our mission in Jagdalpur. These young communities growing steadily in Catholic faith are results of commitment and total dedication of pioneer missionaries for the cause of living gospel at any cost in the tribal land of Bastar. These are facilitated because the pioneer members gave a strong foundation for Catholic presence in the Diocese of Jagdalpur. I bow my head before the saintly life of Bishop Paulinus and the first missionaries, as well as all who toiled day and night, allowing oneself to fall down and die in this land as the grain of wheat which bore much fruit. Thank you very much.